just to give you a very sort of brief overview, so we're going to split it up into sort of two main sections. So first 15 minutes will just be me speaking to you, talking to you about Fuse 2, who we are, sort of where we are in the market, especially specifically with 3CX. And then obviously I'll go into the multi-tenant and how we package it and things like that. The second half of the session will be hosted by 3CX themselves. So that'll be sort of maybe 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to leave 5 or 10 minutes hopefully at the end of the call, just to cover off any questions that you've got. So in the chat you should be able to see there's a chat function within this webinar. If you want to type your questions as we go, or you can wait until the end and type all your sort of questions towards the end of the webinar, because we hopefully may answer those questions as we go through. So yeah, as long as we're all happy with that, we'll do some intros. So I'll introduce myself first. My name's Max Hardern, and I head up the enterprise sales at Fuse 2 Communications. I very much focus on the sort of multinational business and enterprise clients that we've got, as well as the channel base from our side as well. And then obviously I'm enjoying myself hosting things like this as well. So yeah, that's who I am. Paul and Greg, do you wanna do yours?
Okay, cool. Paul Clarke, General Manager for the UK. I've been with 3CX now for coming up for 12 years. And my role is primarily to sort of get partners from the start of the partner journey. So when you join us as a bronze partner, through to top of the tier titanium, such as these guys here, Fuse 2.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm Greg Garrett. Been with the company a little over 8 years now. I've managed 4 different continents over the last 8 years. So I've had the pleasure to meet a wide variety of 3CX partners and customers, distributors, etc., from all over the world. And quite excited to be a special guest here with Paul and Max and the Fuse 2 team. So yeah, I'm the community manager at the moment. So I think my hat changes quite frequently. So at the moment, helping manage our community, global community, and trying to add value by kind of sharing all the ins and outs and nuts and bolts of 3CX, what we do, how we do it, where we do it.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Greg. Yeah, nice. Cool. So yeah, do you want to just flick to that next slide, Greg?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a very quick intro then to Fuse 2. So a lot of you on the call I know already know us. I can see a lot of familiar names on here. There's probably some that don't know us though. So for your sake, Fuse 2 are an independent carrier grade SIP network in the UK. So we've got our own sort of stamped tiered carrier network in the UK with our own SIP network, but that also has a global reach as well. So we have the ability to port numbers in the UK and globally, provide new numbers on a global scale. We've got a dedicated porting desk that manage all that kind of side of things, and we can do things and terminate things like in-country breakout, provide sort of global call coverage for your services, really sort of consolidating what is like a sort of multinational requirement under one roof, one banner, one support desk, all that kind of stuff. So that's where our sort of bread and butter lies, is the SIP network. And then separately to that, you can see there all the 3CX accreditations that we've got. So, the SIP network is where we sort of started off, and we chose what we believe to be the best product in the market when it comes to PBXs or unified communications or whatever it is that you want to refer to them as. And we chose that partner as being 3CX. So we're as big as you can get with them. We're a titanium partner, preferred SIP provider, solution provider. You see all them on there, advanced certified engineers. And they are all hosted, all engineers that are based in the UK, and we've got a significant presence as well in South Africa with advanced certified engineers in both of those locations. So as a business, we're pretty channel based, so it's about 80% of our business is done through the channel. So we're very much geared towards sort of supporting and lifting sort of managed IT providers or already selling comms businesses off the ground, helping them deliver more resilient communications, better quality communications, and obviously help you with the commercial side of things as well. The partner program that we have is very much, there's no commit. We give you things free of charge like white label billing services, pre-sales support, white label marketing material. And what is also relevant to the multi-tenant system is the self-service portal that we've got. So I'll talk to you a little bit how we package the multi-tenant solution, but the self-service portal really comes into its own when it comes to things like APIing into buying a license, allocating a SIP trunk, really just sort of giving you full automation to be able to just crack on with without speaking to people like me. So hopefully that's always a good thing for you all. So yeah, typically in terms of us delivering a 3CX, most of the systems that we've got are delivered in. I couldn't find a word to describe this, but like a full fat version. So those of you that are familiar with 3CX already, you'll know that 3CX is distributed as a pro or an enterprise license, and we would call them dedicated instances. So your customers sort of decide how many concurrent calls they need, and from Fuse 2, we will host that, we will manage it. We'll terminate it with our own SIP trunks, and we'll secure that 3CX solution. So, they're for your businesses that sort of 10 plus, and Greg will go into a little bit more detail about that. But obviously, yeah, the multi-tenant is very much positioned towards your sort of smaller businesses that don't require all the sort of bells and whistles of a full fat version of 3CX. So, do you want to just skip to that next slide, Greg, please? Cool. So this is a technical network. I'm not going to go over this because I can feel people getting tired already as I flick to this slide. But this just gives you a really high-level snapshot of our topology of our network. So you can see we've got major presence in the UK, with presence branching out into North America and Asia and places like that. So the reach in terms of our partner base is really global. We have some significant partners in places like Australia and America. So from that perspective, if we've got a lot of different people on this call today, but if you're an end user with a multinational requirement, or you're a partner that's based in another country, there is really no end to us being able to help you out with any sort of solution. So yeah, I'm not going to go into the technicalities of what all that network means, but if anyone wants to know or is interested, feel free to drop us an email or something like that. Cool. Next one, Greg. Cheers. Thank you. Cool. So this bit is basically how we package it. So, most importantly, how can you consume these two different models from Fuse 2 and specifically the multi-tenant? So the first one on the left, this is a per user consumption model. So this is basically where, if you're a partner, more specifically, I'm addressing this too, is you've not got too many customers that you're thinking of using this multi-tenant solution for. You might have a couple of different businesses with 4 to 5 users maybe that have real low telephony requirements. The per user model is going to suit you guys really quite well. So we can give you a 3CX multi-tenant user, so access to the multi-tenant on that side, a SIP channel that's registered to that user, a number like a UK DDI, for example, and also a call package. So this is very much like a low per user per month cost. It's still a managed service, so we'll manage it for you, but you don't have any access to things like the back end of the system. Obviously, there's different limits as well with the multi-tenant solution, but that one specifically is very much geared towards, you've got a couple of seats that you want to have very, very basic telephony requirements for. We can put that onto our own 3CX multi-tenant system from Fuse 2. The second one is geared towards maybe, and I'm just sort of trying to paint a picture for you all, is like a partner that has maybe 4 or 5 different customers. They might have 4 or 5 users per customer, and you guys really want to try and maximize the sort of commercial aspects of the multi-tenant platform. So this is basically where you will have your own dedicated multi-tenant instance. So again, that'll still be a managed service. We'll still host it for you. We'll allocate a SIP trunk per customer that you've got. So we'll register a SIP trunk for every customer that you have. And then basically what you'll get on your invoice then is a breakdown of, it will show, okay, this customer X has got this SIP registered against them. So when your CDR comes through at the end of the month or the start of the month, whenever you get it, you'll be able to see a breakdown of, okay, my entire system is costing me X, and then this is the breakdown of each customer from a SIP side, of what you need to, forward bill for any call charges and things like that. So basically, that one's positioned really nicely because it starts off at a 16 channel is the smallest size system you can get, but you can really start building it up and building up more users into it, to start maximizing all the sort of the potential of packing those systems out with the concurrency, of the license. So you can increase that then to the next 24 channel, as being the next one up. When say you've got another 40 users on there or something like that as an example. But that's really where that sweet spot is the dedicated multi-tenant system. That is what it's designed for, is for you to really just chuck in a load of users onto the 3CX, and start sweating it out really as much as you can. And that's it. That's how you can consume it from us. Obviously, there probably will be a lot of questions on the consumption model, but again, you can take that offline with us. My email's always going to be available, I think, to pretty much everyone in the room. But yeah, dedicated instances, for anything sort of 10 users or above. And I'll hand over to Greg so we can go into a little bit more detail about 3CX themselves as well.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Max. It's really nice to hear all that Fuse 2 is bringing to the market. You guys are adding a lot of value with all the components, putting together the 3.6 ecosystem to be able to provide it, which is it's invaluable. So let me jump in and explain a little bit about who 3.6 is, what we do, and where we do it. You can see here the global map. 3.6 started in 2005. We rolled out our first commercial edition in 2006 as a Windows-only PBX, and we've progressed over the years. We consumed several companies through 2014, 2016, 17, 18 that added a lot of additional functionality, feature set. We rolled out our first Linux install back in 2017, which was revolutionary, and that's one of the biggest things that has pushed 3.6 forward, because when we started in 2017, it was 100% Windows. Now, I think we're probably like 90 to 95% Linux. So 3.6 has made a huge transition there, which has been invaluable for us. We do rely heavily on our channel. You see the numbers there. We have over 10,000 partners globally. As Max had mentioned, Fuse 2 is top tier titanium partner. So they're the cream de la cream, if you will. 3.6 partners, and we've got a wide variety of partners that have different types of specializations, focuses on key verticals, custom integrations. Maybe they carry other complementary products and services that help 3.6 add value to the customer base. And you can see there as well, we have 12 offices globally, and 3.6 is a force to be reckoned with in the PBX space. So we'll dive a little deeper into it. I'll talk to you about our solution for a minute. You can see there, we are a complete unified communication system. You can put us in Windows, Linux, in the cloud, hosted by 3CX, Fuse 2's cloud. You have a lot of choices when and where 3CX lives. So 3.6 is really trying to put that freedom of choice. In our interface, we've tried to make it so simple, so easy to use and deploy. Because honestly, if you look at traditional enterprise systems, they're inherently complex. They're difficult to manage. You've got a lot of hardware, software, other components that just make it messy and very admin intensive. So in our interface, we're including, obviously, telephony is our core, but then we've rolled out video conferencing platform, just like we're on here today. We've got world-class iOS and Android apps to enable remote working, work on the go. I literally have taken 3CX to over a dozen different countries over the past 8 years. It's my favorite feature because I literally use it every day. It's bulletproof for me and my productivity. And then SMS, MMS, live chat, Facebook integration, WhatsApp integration, CRMs, MS365, Teams. I mean, the list is quite long as to all the other things that 3.6 rolls into our platform. So full range of features, and really, we've got the tools that take what is normally complex and make it simple, really trying to help you save time and money, because you don't want to be clicking back and forth between various applications, various windows. 3.6 is going to put it in a single pane of glass. All right, so That's my sales pitch. Now let's get down to the nuts and bolts, because for me, this is such a key piece here. 3.6's core values. I really want you to understand what we stand for, because it's really important to know that. And we're trying to be transparent with our global partner base. We're trying to take what is complex and make it simple, plain, to the point. And then affordability. With our licensing model, we genuinely can save enterprise caliber customers up to 80%. And if you compare 3.6, once we get into the multi-tenant piece with a company like Ring Central or any of the other, kind of per user per month type models, you're going to find that 3.6 is going to come in at really pennies on the dollar of what you're going to find with those competitors. So it's an unbelievable value for money. We're not trying to be the cheapest. We're not on a race to the bottom. We're trying to be the best value for money. And I genuinely think we've accomplished that. And then finally here, flexibility. As I'd mentioned, you have the ability to custom tailor a phone system to meet your needs or your customers' needs. So choose your own trunks. You can go with the Fuse 2 trunks, which are a preferred provider in the UK. Bring your own number, connect from a wide variety of SIP endpoints, or better yet, use our endpoints, which are included free of charge. And that's Windows desktop app. It's a progressive web app, and it's a browser-based client, along with our iOS and Android app. So really, flexibility across the board, you'll find that mixed into the secret sauce of 3.6. So 3.6 has got a lot to offer you when it comes to simplicity, affordability, and flexibility. Well, I know what you really came for was to hear about our multi-tenant. So let me dive in and explain exactly why we believe it is a crucial key to creating a scalable VoIP solution. So first thing I want to mention is target customers, because I think a lot of people in our forums or coming to guys like Paul, and they're going, I'm struggling to find an application for this. It seems like there's some limitations. It doesn't meet my needs. And I think that's because maybe we've positioned it with the wrong type of customer in mind. And if so, take a look at our dedicated instance, which hopefully you're already very familiar with. Well, this really is custom designed for micro customers, as we refer to it. Anything, and we say 10 users, really you could say 20 users or less, but that's the beauty of this solution. You define how many users are in that tenant, but let's say it's targeting 10 users or less. Well, I did some searching last year in the US. I was the general manager of the US office, and there were over 8 million companies in the US alone that had 20 users or less. So it's a massive market share. Well, to be competitive in that space, trying to find that magic number, what does it mean I have to charge per user to make it work? Because there's not a lot of meat on the bones when you start looking at a system with 10 users. I mean, what's the maximum you're going to get out of that specific customer? So finding a way to do it well and do it inexpensively is crucial. Well, these are customers that don't need all the bells and whistles. They don't need custom integrations. They don't need call flow design. They need basic functionality. They're clearly budget conscious. They really need dial tone plus a few more features. Well, we've given you just that, and we didn't give you just a few more. We added quite a few extra features, and I think we'll continue to do that. So let's talk a bit more about what that really looks like, because here's the opportunity for you as a 3.6 partner, obviously Fuse 2 as well. You're in the game here. This is the opportunity to be able to host in your own environment. We took our, what we called an SMB product. We ended up making it a free product because at the end of the day, we look at what admin wise, what it takes, and cost wise, what it takes to manage that small 10 user system. There's as I mentioned, there's just not enough meat on the bones. It's so skinny. So to be able to take them, package them in a single PBX that has a lot of different smaller customers was the only choice that really made sense for a scalable, budget conscious solution. So one subscription, no need for a subscription for each one of these micro tenants. They're going to share that instance, right? And then the simultaneous calls as well are shared across all the tenants. And the beauty of it is, let's say you max out the number of simultaneous calls in that shared instance, just with any other 3.6 license, you go into your portal, you upgrade that license, no downtime, you don't reboot the server, you just enjoy additional call paths, and then you can continue to expand that instance. So we've made it really simple to scale and grow. Max had mentioned on an earlier slide, you start with a 16 simultaneous call license, but you can go all the way up to a 1,024 simultaneous call license. And again, use Fuse2's infrastructure, use your own infrastructure. The limitation is you just cannot use 3CX's infrastructure, right? So this is something we want you to manage, whether it's in your environment. You could put it on a local server if you wanted to. That's your choice. And the goal of this is easy management, a simple, easy to navigate back end, allowing you to very quickly manage a lot of different customers and do it cost effectively. One of the benefits here, as you see on the last point, that way you're not updating 10, 15, 20 different customers individually. You upgrade that multi-tenant instance and it applies that upgrade across each tenant. All right, so very, very simple to upgrade and manage. All right, prerequisite here, local server, Windows or Linux, doesn't matter, or virtualize, VMware, Hyper-V, or use the Fuse2 cloud. Really, the choice is yours. Or like I said, on-premise, Windows or Linux, and then the self-hosted solution. As I just mentioned on the last slide, minimum point of entry here is a 16 simultaneous call license. Because quite honestly, if you're going to be putting multiple companies in it, it doesn't make sense to go with an 8. You might as well start at a minimum of 16, and then you obviously can scale as you need to. From an installation standpoint, again, the installation process is virtually identical to a standard 3.6 dedicated instance. The only difference is you will need to do it from the downloads page. I did put that up here on the screen for you, and you can see the second line there, 3.6 multi-tenant. You choose whether you install it in Windows or Linux on the multi-tenant server. So that's the difference. You're not going to do it from the subscriptions tab. You do it from the downloads tab. But the actual setup of it is identical to a traditional 3.6 install. As with your standard install, you need to generate that config file. And then the multi-tenant parameters are automatically configured, nothing to go in and customize. You don't have to modify custom parameters. And then you'll need to go in and assign your system extensions to the default department. That is your administrative department. And that's also where you'll set up the shared parking and your echo test and all of your other kind of system extensions that are required. With the assigning of the system owner, and each you can have multiple. So, you know, maybe you've got 3, 4, 5 different engineers in your company. You're not limited to one owner. You can have multiple, right? And again, all of those will go within that default department. From a creating of companies, so companies, departments is also what we determine as a tenant. So you can use those terminologies interchangeably. This can be done manually. So if you're the system owner and you're in that default department, you can go create that new tenant, department, company, whatever you want to refer to it as, do it manually. But I would highly suggest use our configuration API. That's something that Max can certainly talk to you more about, because that's something the Fuse2 team is gearing up with as well. Making the system work for you. Save your admin time. Spend your time selling systems rather than configuring systems. It's going to reduce your admin liabilities. Each company, and this is by default, because I get this question every time I do a multi-tenant webinar, can one tenant call another tenant? Yes, but you're going to call outside of the PBX. You'll have to dial their direct dial number. You cannot make an internal call. That is by design, because each tenant is fully isolated. All right. That is the way it's designed. So, and then parking slots, you can go in and create the parking slots, and then you will assign each tenant however many shared parking spaces you want them to have. But again, you're going to do that from the default department. Right? So hopefully all that's clear. From an extension numbering standpoint, our SMB platform, it's locked to 5-digit extensions. We had some pushback, people saying, maybe we don't want 5 digits, we want 3 digits, or we want 4 digits. Well, one thing to note, as with our dedicated instance, that is a core part of our call manager. So it's not something you can change once the system has been set up. Choose wisely your extension length, because if you do need to change that later, you will have to rebuild the whole system. It's a headache. Look ahead and plan ahead. It'll save you a lot of time and hassle. So again, there's really, I can't imagine, unless you're going to limit it to only a few tenants to have 3 digits. My recommendation would probably go to 4 or 5. But again, that's purely your choice. But ultimately, it will affect the number of tenants that you can have on the system based on the extension digit length that you choose. And assign user extensions and system extension ranges. What we mean by that is, as the default owner, you'll go in and choose how many extensions, because maybe you have one tenant that has 3 extensions. You've got another tenant that has 10 extensions. Maybe you've got another that has 12 extensions. The default owner will set that, or if you're using the configuration API, you can also obviously set that remotely from the API, but you'll set up the number of user extensions per tenant and what that extension range is. Now, this is a key limitation. I'll be very transparent about it because we've had so many questions in our forum, to Paul, to me, to all the 3CX staff. We want extension 1000 for our CEO. It's mandatory. There's not the ability to duplicate the same extension, so it will need to be a unique extension. So, the CEO of company A could have 1000, company B could be 2000, company C could be 3000. But I hope you understand that you cannot duplicate the same extension number across each tenant. It will need to be unique, right? That is a limitation. Just want to be transparent so you know what you're getting into ahead of time. But again, it's not really that big of a deal. And I think that's an easy objection to overcome if indeed it does present itself. With the trunks, you can have a SIP trunk per tenant, and Fuse2 is the preferred trunk provider. They can package that for you. Maybe you have your own trunk. 3CX allows you to bring your own trunk and connect it with the multi-tenant environment. That's one of the benefits of it being in your environment, because in our hosting platform, you will need to use a preferred provider. Hopefully, as you see there on the third point, that supports the R-instance parameter. If not, it will be one trunk for all of the tenants, and then it's going to be a shared billing, and it gets a little bit messy. With Fuse2, you don't have that headache. It can be a trunk per tenant, and that way the billing for the trunk, the DID, the minutes, etc., is within that specific tenant. So again, simplifying your job as a partner, or if you're a customer consuming it, maybe you've got multiple offices, you can isolate for your accounting internally and just save yourself a lot of headaches, right? And then from the DID standpoint, obviously that's going to go with the trunk, just with a dedicated instance, same configuration. You'll import those in and assign them to extensions as needed, or ring groups, or call queues. Get this question a lot. Also, thought we would hit this one head on. What are the key differences between a 3CX multi-tenant platform versus a full dedicated instance? Well, there are no CRM integrations in multi-tenant. If your customer requires that, they will need to go to a dedicated instance. If you are managing hospitality properties, you will need to go to a dedicated instance. PMS integration, also not in the multi-tenant. I've had a lot of questions. Can we add a sub-department within a tenant? So maybe tenant A wants to separate their sales team from their support team, from their accounting team. That's simply not possible in the multi-tenant. No sub-departments. You will have to go to a dedicated instance to get that. Music on hold. There has been a lot of misunderstanding around that. Let me explain what we mean by that, because people are going, no, we want custom music on hold. Well, I think you can have the best of both worlds. Our music on hold, the way we define that, say you're on a call and you're going to transfer that call to someone else, you press the hold button, you will hear then music on hold. But I think what most companies are looking for is a cue music. So while you're waiting, you're hearing a custom music on hold message. Um, and that is possible with the multi-tenant because in the queues, you can designate your own music on hold per tenant. So that will accommodate about 97% of the usage cases out there. And then you're going to share the music on hold music, which is 3CX music on hold music, if you do press that hold button. So again, what a lot of people thought was a big deal actually is not at all, and 3CX can accommodate what you're looking for. So you can have that unique waiting music in your tenant, but it will need to be in the confines of a call queue or ring group. Call scripts per tenant. So maybe you need some advanced functionality. I'll give you one example, the holiday script there. You will assign the scripts system-wide, but then you can also designate it within that tenant. So if you want a custom holiday prompt message that's played, you can still do that type of thing. So, but again, you create the call script in that default department, and then you enable usage across each of the tenants as needed. And then with 365 and Teams, not really possible. I'll give you one use case where it is. So let's say you have one company that has multiple locations. They want to use the multi-tenant because they don't need a lot of functionality and they're budget conscious. Case in point, I was dealing with a national gym membership type group, and they had over 100 locations. They were using Teams. They had one Azure tenant, Teams tenant. And so what they wanted to do was they wanted to be able to connect that tenant and share it across all of the multi-tenant locations, but they wanted to isolate each of the tenants so that they weren't connected. They don't see one another's calls, that type of thing. That scenario is really the only reason I can think why you would want to use it. Other than that, go with a dedicated instance. It makes much more sense, right? That's really the core differences. Everything else is quite similar. Once you dive into it, you find out it is an extremely easy to navigate platform. And from a setup standpoint, I can spin up, I'm not an engineer, I'm a sales guy, but I can spin up a multi-tenant instance in about 10 seconds, literally, and then start connecting a trunk, configuring extensions, and literally within a matter of minutes, not hours, I can have that system ready to make phone calls. So if you need to manage your small, limited functionality type customers, this is an absolute grand slam for you, and highly encourage you to check it out if you haven't already done so. But that's really the nuts and bolts of what I wanted to share today. Max, back to you, man.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Yeah, nice. I don't think there's anything else unless anyone's got any questions. There's no questions that have popped up so far, but I did say you can wait till the end. Has anyone got any questions? Just feel free to whack them into the chat, and I'll give it a minute.
Yeah, give them a couple of minutes. I'm sure
Or
they'll perhaps.
But yeah, we're really excited about the multi-tenant solution that 3CX have released. Obviously, for everyone that's used to 3CX consuming anyway, the 4 channels sort of end of life now, or getting end of life, if that's a thing. So yeah, multi-tenant is definitely going to be the route for you guys going forward. So there's one question there. Is
Yeah.
phone book possible in multi-tenant? So is that so company-wide phone book is a no, but you can still have your own contacts in there, yes.
Yeah. That is being addressed, and it's being addressed at breakneck speed. So as in department-wide address book. Currently, it's a personal address book, but as I say, it's a key driver for the multi-tenant going forward. So yeah, it is on our devs team to-do list, and I suspect quite high up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jenny,
definitely on the roadmap and coming soon. We can't give you a hard date on that, but as Paul said, it's in the works now. So sit tight. It is coming.
yeah. Jenny, yes, you can. Yeah, no problem. I'll send the recording out, so you've all got it for reference.
I'm just going to assume from the lack of questions that the presentation was just painfully clear. Um, but
No, I understood it, Greg. It was brilliant. Tenants have
yeah,
full queue features. Yes, they do.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the same queue features you find in the dedicated instance.
Yeah. And we can help build that out for you as well. So any of you that aren't familiar with the queue features, or building it, configuring it, we can hold your hand through that process as well.
Here we go. We
Oh no, yeah. So can you migrate from multi-tenant to dedicated instance quickly if needed in the future? I mean, yeah, the answer is yes. So if you've got a dedicated instance, obviously that's going to have its own FQDN and URL or whatever you want to call it. Technically, if you're just spinning up a multi-tenant system, it's going to you're going to be putting different configuration onto the 3CX. So it's just, in essence, we will probably just spin up a new 3CX instance and just replicate the config in the back end.
Yeah.
It should be really quite
Yeah.
seamless.
If you're going multi-tenant, dedicated multi-tenant, you are replicating. You can't back up and
Yeah.
install one to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one's from Anthony. So regarding the phone book, if we put the phone book in the phone itself, does it get wiped every update if the phone is auto provisioned? That's a good one.
I don't believe so, but I will check.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So the phone book, if we put the phone book in the phone itself, does it get wiped every update if the phone is auto provisioned? It shouldn't do, no. I don't see why it would. When they do an update, if it's just auto provisioned against the extension will have that phone book on it. So no, I don't. It shouldn't do, no. Yeah, thanks Ben. Thanks for that. Simon, so there was reference early in the presentation to parking spaces per tenant. Possibly a daft question. What's a parking space? What's the ETA for support per tenant phone books managed by 3CX? Don't know if you want to take that one, Greg, maybe.
Yeah, sure. The parking spaces would be, I'll give you a scenario. So, you know, it's coming really more from a kind of your old analog type system functionality. So I have a call, I'm going to park that call, and then I can pick it up from another phone in the office somewhere. So I could park that call and I could call Paul and say, hey, you have a call waiting on line 2, for example, or parking space, you know, parking space 3, and then Paul could answer that call. So it'd give you the ability to park it for momentarily until you could get someone's attention to be able to answer it.
ETA on the phone book, as I say, repeating what Greg said earlier, we can't give you a timeline. We just know it's high on the dev list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the
yeah,
individual IVRs, yeah, absolutely. You can certainly create your own IVRs per tenant, no problem.
yeah. Yeah, I think is that departments, is it? When you build them in departments, I think. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Each department can have a unique IVR. So
Yeah. Cool.
good questions, guys. Keep them coming if there's anything else out there.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll just speak really slowly and see if anyone's got any more questions. Yeah, Simon. Yeah, we can follow up with pricing with you. Obviously, there's a complete mixed bag of people on this call today, so pricing is sensitive. But we'll cover that off with you if you want. I can reach out and cover that off with you. No problem. Well, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
I think that was primarily my input.
It must have
got
been
the
you,
10.
Paul. Yeah,
Yeah,
it must
they
have
got
been
the
you.
10 out of 10.
He didn't say
Yeah.
Paul, but yeah, he should have. Thanks for that. Joshua there, same QR provisioning for the soft phone. Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah,
It
is.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is there an easy way to migrate from 3CX free to multi-tenant? So again, I think that would just be a case of spinning up a new instance, but there's no
Correct.
backup that you would be doing, so to speak. So yeah, it would just be as simple as choosing the config that we want to put on there, and we can have a look at yeah, we can have a look at the config and replicate that on the multi-tenant. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the easy way is by going and using our configuration API. There is not a, and I know exactly what you're asking there, Simon. You're asking, is there a migration tool that's going to take all the settings and populate it into a dedicated instance? We've talked about that. It's something that I think we would like to do, but we're too busy working on other things that are a little higher priority at the moment. But in the meantime, you do have that configuration API that will streamline and simplify when you do have to set up a new instance. So again, it'll save you a lot of time and effort. That's really the easiest way to do it at the moment.
Cool. And thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Always. Joshua, call logs and reporting still available. So yeah, call logs will be, and dependent on those two consumption models that I was mentioning before, that would depend on whether the reporting's still available. So the per user consumption model that I mentioned, that would be a no, because that would be on our own instance that we then multi-tenant out to you. But if you decide to go down at your own dedicated multi-tenant, in which obviously we'd host and terminate with our SIP, then yes, you would be able to scrutinize your own reports from there, and you can, sort of run a like a scheduled report out to your customers if you wanted to do that. So in essence, yes, the answer to those two questions is yes.
Yeah. By the way, I just dropped in our configuration guide from the 3CX website, which kind of walks you through all the basics that you would need to be able to set that up. It kind of explains how each component is configured. So if you want to look through that, it'll give you a lot of additional details for you.
Cool, no worries, Joshua. .3CX free to multi-tenant, just for clarity, question was for taking a 3CX free customer and migrating them to a tenant within an already set up 3CX multi-tenant. Same response.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
Is
There's
indeed.
no migration sort of. I mean, we could if there's a significant number of those that you've got, Simon, we could always build out a sort of template or a format if you wanted to do that and into some sort of spreadsheet. But yeah, it's pretty much the same response, yeah, as we mentioned before. Cool. Any more for any more? We're probably pretty much bang on time. I think it was 45 minutes, so pretty good. Anyone else? Any more questions? What a great start to a Monday for you all. Hitting the ground running. Nice. All right. Well, anything else? Anything else from you, Paul or Greg? You happy?
No, I'm good. I would just like to extend my thanks both to you, Max, and Greg,
Yeah, much
for
appreciated.
your
Yeah,
input
thank you
today.
both as well.
It is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you too. And thanks everyone for joining as well. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap up. And yeah, all of you enjoy your weeks. Thank you very much for joining. Absolute pleasure.
All right. Hey, cheers,
All right,
guys.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
everything.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye.